What is up, guys? Football Take Slayer here, back to slay another terrible take coming from the club. In this clip, I'm going to discuss and we're going to listen to them talking about Marcus Rashford's Manchester United legacy and what our thoughts should be on not only him as a player, but also his legacy at Manchester United. So just listen into this clip real quick.
He
or
was on.
something like that.
Say he ended up just having his contract terminated by Manchester United and was completely available for free, totally for free.
I think everyone's after him.
Like, I actually don't think they are.
After listening to that clip, I just want to say if you hear or see any bad football takes, send them my way and I'll slay them and call them out for not knowing ball. Now let's get into it. The first clip that you just saw right there, the narrative that Rory is saying is that if Manchester United was to let go of Marcus Rashford and any team could get him on a free, he thinks nobody would be after him. Let's not do this over exaggeration of a player that, if it was straight talent for talent, would walk straight into Chelsea's starting lineup for any of their wingers. He's better than Pedro Neto. He's better than Gittins. He's better than Sterling. I honestly haven't been given a reason or proven wrong to this point to not think that he's better than Nkunku, while still only being 27 and entering his prime years. And let's not forget, Nkunku was purchased a summer ago for a decently hefty fee and has produced literally nothing that I can remember. Can't hold down a starting spot or even get minutes off the bench while still being the same age as Rashford. He is 27, so is Marcus Rashford. And he's not proven a single thing in the Prem, while Marcus Rashford has had 5+ seasons. And five is definitely an understatement of output. So I find it rich that Rory, who is a Chelsea fan and says he watches all these Chelsea games, knows that his favorite team signed Christopher Nkunku, and Nkunku has a spot on a team. Nkunku, I think, is being linked to Bayern Munich in this exact moment. He still has a spot in Bayern Munich. But Marcus Rashford, if he was let go on a free, nobody would want him. Even if he is just trying to be hyperbolic, even if he just wants to get his point across, it's again, you don't want to be this insane with your narratives. Marcus Rashford, not only 2 seasons ago, scored 30+ goals in a season. He was Manchester United's best player. I don't think someone who just had a relatively decent season at Aston Villa that they should be, the narrative should now be, if Manchester United were to drop him, nobody would want him. The only reason Rashford isn't on a new team that is high quality is so isn't because it's because nobody wants to pay the fee for him, correct? No one wants to pay the fee for Marcus Rashford. But it's not because no one believes Marcus Rashford is worth a fee. It's because his manager came out and said that he will never play for the club again, which doesn't typically boost your transfer value if you didn't know. Every team knows that he isn't going to play for Manchester United ever again. So all the buying teams, all the teams that want to purchase Marcus Rashford have all the leverage. And that leverage is so high that most of these teams are either hoping the fee is negligible, maybe 10 mil, maybe 20 mil, and in this market that is negligible, or even hoping for literally a free transfer. I also think there is a bit of a discussion about his wages being an issue, but I'm not fully aware of if he's willing to lower them or not to secure a move. So I'm not going to talk about it. But if Marcus Rashford is willing to lower his wages to secure a move, the reality is your manager came out and said you're never going to play for the team again. That is Ruben Amorim's fault for completely tanking Marcus Rashford's transfer value. And that is something that Amorim will learn with time, that you can't publicly come out and say things like that, because now a fee that you thought, even that still would probably low for somebody like Marcus Rashford of like 40 million euro, now it's even lower. So Amorim just has to be better in the future. But again, he's a young manager. This is the risk you take by taking a young manager who's been in the job he was at Sporting for 2 years and now what? Basically a year at Manchester United. So this is just part of that risk. Now I want to play this next clip. And this next clip, again, it kind of piggybacks off the first clip, but it's just outrageous what these people say.
Ready to leave Manchester United, talk about playing for Barcelona, and go and play for David Moyes. Like, whether he should be, I don't think he's
Yeah,
good enough to
yeah.
play for Everton, for the record.
Okay, so listening back on that clip, Rory says that Marcus Rashford isn't even good enough for Everton. He's not good enough to play for Everton. This again is just such a super weird narrative to me. I don't know why they're doing it. I don't know what they're getting out of saying this. I don't know why, when it comes to players, especially British players that are like Calvert-Lewin, like Sterling, like Marcus Rashford, where all of these also British talk willing to just hate and just belittle the players from their own country. I don't even understand that. But I just want to get this out there. Anyone who follows football knows that Marcus Rashford is heavily linked to Juventus and has links with Barcelona, PSG, and even back to Aston Villa, where it's not like he set the world on fire at Aston Villa. I know everyone kind of talks about that PSG game where he was unplayable in that day. Um, but he did play at a good level consistently, and he was consistently getting starting minutes for Aston Villa, which wasn't something Emery does easily. He doesn't switch his starting 11 that easily. Asensio was getting a goal or an assist almost every time he would come onto the field, and he still was hardly getting a start. But Rashford's quality is so high, he was typically in the starting 11 from the beginning of that loan. And yes, the Everton team that's just scored 42 goals, and we're starting the likes of Dwight McNeil, who scored 4 goals, and Carlos Alcaraz, who scored 2. And let's not forget good old Jack Harrison, New York City FC legend, who scored a whopping 1 goal this season in over 30 appearances. Nah, Rory, you're right. There's no possible way Rashford could start over the likes of those people. That would be insane. And now let's listen to this next clip. This next clip is the epitome of what a lot of these football talking shows just embody. It's what they do for a living. Listen in.
I think there are two different questions though. Is Marcus Rashford a better option in a European game than Ollie Watkins? I know Buvey would say no. I would say yes because I don't particularly rate Ollie Watkins that highly.
Okay, so I'm hoping you guys understood it the same way I did. So in this clip, he says that Rashford is a better option in a European game than Ollie Watkins. Rory Jennings says he would say yes to that. In the last clip, in the same video, the same exact video, we are still watching the same video. These aren't two videos that I'm clipping. This is the same exact video. He's saying he's not good enough for Everton, which last time I checked isn't in Europe, but he's a better option than Ollie Watkins, who last year literally played in Europe. He literally played in the UEFA Champions League. They aren't even consistent with their takes in the same exact video. And that's the issue I have with these football talking heads. That's why I created this channel. I want to get more eyes and more ears to just notice the hypocrisy of a lot of these takes and a lot of these statements. These people aren't willing to stand on their own opinions longer than a day, longer than a 20-minute video that they upload. It's insanity. They flip-flop their thoughts and opinions when it's convenient. Okay, Rashford didn't have the best season. Well, the overarching popular narrative is he's finished and terrible, and he's not even good enough for Everton. Okay, that's what they're going to run with. That's what these talking heads are going to run with. They don't want any conflict. They don't want anybody to challenge them on their takes. Okay, the next season or 2 seasons ago, Marcus Rashford has the 30 goal season. Well, the narrative is now that Manchester United are the problem and they're holding him back. So they're just going to run with that too. It's whatever is convenient. They don't have set opinions on these players, and they don't look at the statistics. They don't look at what they're producing. They just go off of whatever the popular narrative is. And that's something that I just really, really dislike. Just have an actual opinion for yourself, not what you know is the popular opinion at the time. For example, my opinion is Rashford still has a lot to give to almost any Premier League side, almost any. I don't think he could give much to a team like Manchester City, but I think he could still provide for a team like Arsenal. He might even have a bit of an impact that's better than Gabriel Martinelli. I think he can have an impact at Liverpool. I think he's still, and those might be pushing it. Those are really high level clubs, but I think 100%. And this is my opinion, but I'll stand on it and I'm not going to conform to the narrative. If you're saying he's going to a team like Bournemouth or a team like Newcastle, I'm not acting like those are the same level. Newcastle is obviously a better team than Bournemouth, but I'm just kind of going through all the phases of the table. If you're talking about Bournemouth, if you're talking about Newcastle, if you're talking about Everton, if you're even talking about Wolves, if you don't think Marcus Rashford can do a job at any part of this Premier League table, at any Premier League team, you are insane. And now I just want us to listen into
Do you
the
agree with Adam's
final
assessment
clip
on Rashford's
about
legacy at
Marcus
Manchester
Rashford's
United, that it was
legacy.
more
Let's take a
good
listen.
than bad? Because I'm not sure I do.
Well, Adam knows 100% more than me about Man United. From my outside perspective, even if it appears biased, I think it's more negative, more noise, average footballer.
Okay, so if you listen to that clip, they leave the question open. Is Marcus Rashford's legacy more good than bad? Rory doesn't think it's more good than bad, and neither does Buvey. They both think that his legacy is worse. It's more bad than it is good. I just want to get this out here, man. He's had a relentless switch of managers and systems. I believe he had around 8 different managers at his time at Manchester United. He still always was a top performer. He performed at the top level. Still always played 30 plus games or more. He kept his body in great shape. He was contributing. He was on the field. That is all you could ask of players, is to be out there and giving 100%. He was still always contributing double-digit goals, even in seasons where the narrative was he was lackluster, and there were some seasons where he was lackluster. He still had double-digit goal contributions in all of those seasons, which is better than some players that were signed for Manchester United for a hefty fee. A lot of those players never even reached double-digit goals, and the narrative against them wasn't that they're terrible. He was a top goal scorer literally only 2 years ago with 30 goals, came from the youth academy, cost the club nothing, isn't leaving on a free like Alexander Arnold. If he is leaving, he is trying to leave for a fee so the club can at least recover a bit of money for him, which I really respect. He has been there and contributed to a Europa League trophy and 2 FA Cup trophies and a couple league trophies as well. He's also Manchester United's player of the year for 1 year. I don't know how you can say someone with these accolades that their legacy that cost the club nothing. Their legacy is more bad than good. Buvey talks about how he never won the league, and it's almost becoming like this NBA where it's like, oh, you didn't win a ring, so you didn't win a championship, so it doesn't. Well, everything that you did doesn't matter. I don't like those talking points. It really belittles what people do in the game. This is a team sport. The last year that they came closest, Manchester United, to winning it all, to winning the league, was 27-18 with Mourinho as coach. They finished second. He was one of their best players and contributed at a high level. There's not a single player that could have single-handedly saved Manchester United from their own incompetence. They finished in second place and then fired Jose Mourinho. All I want to say is Marcus Rashford, he's an England international, a legend off the field at Manchester United and more. His legacy at Manchester United should be held in very, very high regards.